SeeJeanty back at it again. And folks, it's a pleasure for me to be here today. Today is the 21st of May. And yes, this background that you're seeing right here is a background you haven't seen in a while, right? That means your boy is back at the Haiti office. That's right. That's right. Talking to you live and direct from Haiti, right? But before we get too deep in the conversation, you already know, guys, I got a lot of stuff I got to do in the background. Get this live stream up and going. It's a one-man show, per what you know. And so let me do that. Meanwhile, I'm going to let you, play some video from our hour-long ambient drone video. Folks like that almost more than they like me do what I'm doing. So we'll play that for a bit, and I'll be back in about 2-3 minutes, and the show will start. We'll be right back. I'm on mute. I was on mute. You guys should be able to hear me now. So let me reboot. Let me say it again. Welcome. For those who longtime veterans of what this is, our monthly show, and for those others who may have just recently followed, subscribed, there's an opportunity for us to connect, have a conversation. You know me, guys. I appreciate everyone who watches. We don't produce what we produce at SeeJeanty just to kind of be in a bubble, right? Given all the things I have going on, I can't be in front like we were for a long stretch of time. I remember 2 years back. I mean, literally, we had a show every single day. Every single day, we're having a conversation about what's happening in Haiti. Keeping you guys up to date. But of course, fortunately, we still have a media team that is in Haiti and is doing great things, despite me having to engage in other activities. I've more step back more to I guess I can call myself more of an executive producer in a way, in terms of how things are currently. But I'm just happy to be here. I'm happy to have the community that we have here that's impacting and doing great things. And again, I'm happy to have those who enjoy the content watch. And so today's show is the Sunday monthly show. We're just going to have ultimately a conversation. And of course, please don't be shy. I challenge you to, that's right, I challenge you to leave a comment. Right? I challenge you to say something in there. I am going to try to read those questions on screen. And really, it's really a Q&A session. All the folks who usually hit my DMs for with something, just know I can't. I'm not in a position to hit up and respond to all those folks in the DM, in my DMs. But this is your opportunity right here, right? So go ahead and drop it. Really quick, I want to just say what's up to the folks in the chat. We got Dominic Ledger. What's up? Here overseas. What's up? From Okai. How you doing? Mari Else ID, veteran of the chat. Always happy to have you in the chat. We got Paul Andre. Oh, Paul Andre, I see. Yo, my man. Yo, how are you doing, man? This is Paul Andre. Andre, as I know him, is if you guys remember the episode of the Haiti Surf Guest House. Andre is someone who is the reason why that is such a great experience if you guys ever go. It's on Airbnb, and I do highly recommend you visit the Surf Guest House. You have a fantastic experience, and tell them SeeJeanty sent you. All right, Andre, happy to have you in the chat, man. Hope you're well. Got James Lubin in the house. James Lubin, true actionnaire. Not only in the sense of the English sense, but the sense français, actionnaire. Right. So James, you know what I mean when I say that. Appreciate to have you in the chat, brother. Here, and I think that's all for the chat. And let's take a look in the channel. We got Edzi General from Atlanta, checking in from Atlanta. What's up, man? Happy to have you in the chat. Here we got Ed Williams. What's up, bro? Happy to have you in the chat here on IG. What's up? And of course, a bunch of folks who are watching silently. When are you gonna do part 2? And Jeremy, first I gotta go for sure. I gotta do OCOP. OCOP is a city, man. I gotta figure out how to do a month in OCOP. Just a month. Just me and my team. Just out in OCOP for a whole month. There's so much content, so much things happening in OCOP. So many businesses, so many, because OCOP is really, I call OCOP the Republic of OCOP, right? It's a separate part of the country that's still functioning without violence, without gangs, and there's a lot of really good stuff happening up there that I know of personally. For example, they were able to do a fantastic May 18 Flag Day, parades and just ambiance that was phenomenal. And truly, I really need to consider leaving Port-au-Prince and just be based out of OCOP, because OCOP is really, really what Haiti should be across the country, man. I props to anyone who's from OCOP. You guys should be proud. And if you're from OCOP, please fight to keep OCOP, right? Any signs of it becoming Port-au-Prince, please be vicious in keeping your guys, what the specialness that OCOP has, keep it, right? And that's one reason why I still, listen, I have hope for Haiti. If OCOP can figure it out, I'm sure the rest of the country can eventually figure it out too, right? But no, there's a lot of cities I got to do first before I can go back to Germany. But then, yeah, I'll be back to Germany because there's still a lot of stuff in Germany that I didn't visit. Although satellite cities I haven't visited. So real quick, let me we'll try to keep this live stream under an hour and a half or so. Hopefully, we'll see. I just enjoy talking so much to you guys. It usually goes well over. I got to do a quick caveat. Our special guest. For the show, regrettably won't be on. It's the first episode I'll have my live stream. I don't have a special guest. Towards the end, she had issues with her flight. She missed a connector. She had her other flight got delayed. One thing led to another, and so she won't be on. I really was looking forward to having her. She's someone in tech, worked for Microsoft, has done some really cool things, but. She'll be on next month. In fact, next month, I probably have a 2-part interviewer session where I'm going to have actually 2 people on, and I'll be talking a little less, so to make up for today's episode. So just FYI for those who are maybe who came on just for that individual. We will it's coming, right? And again, a special guest, also a secret guest, so I can't reveal it just yet, so I'm gonna keep you guys in suspense for another month, right? Let's see here. So, yeah, per usual, nous devons aussi parler en créole bien rapide pour tout le monde qui est rentré là, qui pas demandé ça, qui ça gagne là, qui nous a fait un programme sur Haïti, et créole là, c'est pas ça nous mettre devant. Et on va me dire n'importe l'autre bail, je toujours dire qu'il y a plus de respect pour créole nous, c'est ça qui connecte tout haïtien. Et il est très important pour nous mettre respect sur ça, parce que il y a bien avancement sans d'abord nous mettre créole du côté de doué, parce que toute l'autre race vous mettez langue yo spécial, vous prioriser langue là, et tout l'autre monde qui veut faire des actions dans la communauté de l'autre monde, il faut apprendre langue ça, mais il faut comprendre que raison me fait chose ça, les médias existent, c'est me fait pour en sens pour un jeune Chris Jeanty qui était l'autre bois, qui pas des engagements sous pays dans Jean pays doit représenter. Et ça me fait dans l'anglais parce que anglais, bon, quand je là après 4 ans, 5 ans, que là, Mario, mais comme j'ai commencé, préférence à anglais. Et ça me fait pour moi-même, non, ça fait un peu l'autre monde tout court. Et tout, il faut comprendre qu'on a un avion. La vérité, c'est qui ça? C'est que, il y a plus que demi-avion, c'est étranger qui a apporté dans le pays. Étranger qui a un langage anglais comme préférence, yo, tout. Et ou baka pas quitter yo, il y a juste information yo, celle côté yo, c'est Fox News, CNN, c'est Mami Herald, tout côté qui a toujours metté vieux bagay yo devant, sans yo pas essayer égaliser avec bon bagay. Bagay yo le mettre mauvais bagay yo dehors. Bagay yo non. Mais moi-même pas cacher rien. Je ne cache rien dans le pays d'Haïti. C'est un pays difficile pour vivre et les pays, il y a des gens qui soit qui n'a joint et par rapport à toute activité ça yo qui tant nous apprendre. Mais si on va apprendre, si on va mettre, on va essayer de partager ça aussi comme mauvais, ok? On va gagner un espoir. Montrer que Haïti pas jamais aller quel côté. Ils ont expression en anglais, we are what we see. Nous y est, ça nous ouais. Et sur ça raison me fait bailler ça en anglais pour partager partie ça. Et finalement, bon, vérité à c'est que et jour, il y a un autre monde qui a fait bailler ça en anglais. Jamais fait là. Je suis bien content pour changer et programme dans le cœur totalement parce que manqué et côté m'ka parler en créole pour 2 et 3 ans. So voila. Okay, and that's quick disclaimer of why we do this in English. A lot of respect for Creole. We just need to have a place where we can talk about Haiti and inform people internationally, in addition to folks who Haitians who perhaps English is their preferred language, right? So that's the brief of it. Of course, do remember to check out SeeJeanty shop. We have a book out. 101 Ways to Make Money in Haiti, Lucrative Business Ideas, Insightful Success Stories, and Interesting Business Opportunities for Visionary Entrepreneurs. We put that book out. I guess it was probably going on 2 years now, 2 years now, and still well received, still well reviewed on Amazon Bookstore. And I do recommend you guys to check it out. I did drop the link. It's SeeJeanty.com/shop. Right. So do check that out. Right. SeeJeanty Action Group on Facebook. Do go inside there and do give it a follow, because when you meet once a month, it's important that the conversation continues. The conversation needs to continue. And that is a place, that is a source for that conversation to continue. Right. So do, follow the SeeJeanty Action Group on Facebook, share different inspiring stories, news stories, media from other incredible content creators. And that's growing daily, which is fantastic to see. There's a growing. Back when I started, I probably was the only one or two, and now it's I want to say 4 dozen or plus that are a part of it now. So do be part of that group, and if you're looking for a source of information that is going to feed you in addition to inform you, right? Do join the SeeJeanty Action Group. Private WhatsApp group. Join it, right? It's the Patreon. It's what supports a lot of the content that we do. The reason why we're able to be so consistent is because we have the private WhatsApp group there for $20 a month, right? It provides a consistent income stream that supports the salaries of, I got 2 fantastic video guys and a individual who handles our lighting and transportation, and that money goes directly to their side. I don't pocket a penny of that, and whatever may be left over, we look to buy additional equipment. For example, let me show you guys this cool little thing we have here. This little LED thing you start seeing in a lot of our videos now in the background, and it helps control that lighting environment. Let me show you guys on IG. This is something we're able to purchase because of the SeeJeanty Action Group, right? And the folks who are contributing to that. In addition to, I like to maximize value, and you're in there with other folks who are impacting and doing great things in Haiti. In addition to myself, I'm in there. A lot of folks who want to reach out, have conversations with me about different things they have going on, and folks who want, hey, Chris, I have this situation, and they DM me, expecting me to have a conversation with them. Unfortunately, I got a lot of stuff going on. As I mentioned, I can't communicate with everybody. But those who are part of my action group, because you're putting your money where your mouth is, at the end of the day, you're saying, hey, I like what you're doing, Chris. Here's real support, to keep what you're doing going, right? And I make myself available. I'm in there, right? Ask a question in there. I provide answers. I provide my full Rolodex of contacts to those who are part of that group. Because again, I'm about, if I'm going to take something, I got to give something tremendously, a lot more back. And so I'm in there. So do consider becoming a member. Love to meet you. Love to have a conversation with you. I'd love to have you be part of the folks who are in there that are equally giving in terms of providing information and helping each other out in there. And the link's there. So the SeeJeanty, for those who are IG, SeeJeanty.com. And then you'll see contact us at the top, and you'll see the private WhatsApp group, and then become a member. Join us, right? And per usual, a little top of the hour stuff is hyperdistribution.com. It's really what has caused me to move away personally from the media, and it has me more in America right now. And it's fantastic. We're selling stuff by the container load each month. The network's growing. We're in 40 plus stores. We're selling honey and jonjo and coffee and huile masquise and a whole bunch of things. We're envahir the market in Haiti in the U.S. So right now we're in South Florida, but of course we're looking to be in New York and Boston and a lot of different places in the very near future. And so for those who are interested in knowing where our products are, where you can purchase, please feel free. Hit hyperdistribution.com. We're still opening to investors, by the way. So those who want to be part of doing business the right way, where we're supporting, we're buying from Haitian producers here in Haiti, right? And then we're getting those products to America, right? We're exporting out. We're expanding the market for Haitians. Those who want to be a part of it, please don't hesitate. Join, right? There's seats available. Just reach out, and we'll have a conversation. We'll send you business plans. Everything's on up and up. Send you the contracts and agreements, and of course you got to sign an NDA, of course. But hyper distribution, become a buyer or become a supporter, however you want to do it. Hyperdistribution.com is where you want to get started. Check us out, and of course we're also looking for wholesalers too, wherever you may be. If you want us to send a few cases of our different products, vanilla essence, almond essence, on and on, we can do that too, right? So however you want to plug in and be part of this movement that hyper distribution represents, we're open and willing to get you a part and signed up, right? So that's the top of the hour stuff. Right now, the show can truly begin. Right, a sip of water. Right. So today, what we're gonna do is, first and foremost, we've had a lot of new subscribers, a lot of new followers, both on IG and Face and YouTube. And so, really, I just want to take a step back and really just introduce myself. Have an interview of myself for you guys to know who am I? Who is this guy? And so we're going to break that down first. Secondly, I want to do something I haven't done in a while, which is, read the comments of some of the videos that we have. All right. I like doing it on air. Encourages you guys to leave comments on the videos because it's important for the algorithms. But also, I think it's a great opportunity to not only get your answer responded to, but also for everyone who's watching to learn, of that information. It tends to be a lot of really good information that commenters leave, right? And then that's gonna be the show. And then usually we do have our special guest, but regrettably, our special guest, as I mentioned, had some issues in terms of her flight. She won't be on today, but she'll be on. I'll have her on at the next show. In addition to the person who's supposed to be my next guest. And so we'll probably have a show where it's two guests, two for the price of one. The next live show. So make sure you definitely don't miss that. Right. So who am I? Who's this guy who's talking to you? Why is he doing what he's doing? Where did I come from? And what drives me? What drives our consistency since really 2017, 2018? We've been doing media content, and I promise you, we're not stopping. God gives me, some breath. We're not stopping. We'll keep going and pushing it forward. So let's talk about that, right? Let's see. Born in Haiti. Let's start right there. For a lot of folks, I said that's your usual first question. Were you born in Haiti, right? Yes. I was born in Haiti, right? A hospital in Carrefour, right? So Carrefour, I was born in Carrefour. And I mean, the birth itself is interesting because before, we can get real personal here, guys. We can get real personal, right? So before I was born, my mom had actually lost 3 children, so I had 2 miscarriages. She lost twins, and she lost another boy. So 2 twin boys and another boy, right? So she lost 3 kids before I was born, right? And so to make sure I wasn't lost, they literally put for 6 months, my mom couldn't move. Right? My mom was, in bed for 6 months, feet up. So, the issue that was affecting her losing her kids didn't happen, right? Now there's medical reasons to that, and then there's Haitian mystique reasons involved, right? And I can give you both sides, right? the medical reason for it was that she just had a situation that her cervix was weak, and the kids were being born prematurely, or occur prematurely, very premature, and she'll lose the child, right? And so the doctors made sure that she didn't move and trigger that, and that's how it was born. The Haitian mystique story, which I heard both, and both from my mother. I mean, my mom being a good Christian probably doesn't want me to repeat this, but I'm going to share it because this is if folks who are Haitian know, there's always two stories, two versions of everything that happens, right? The scientific, evidence-based, and then there's the mystique, right? And the mystique was in the house that she was, at least for me, I can't speak to the other loss, but even for me, I was at risk of not being born. There was a law at the house that I was, where she was and where I was. And the law was consume babies. It was a consuming baby law. And law, by the way, for those who don't know, they're spirits, right? They're spirits, not necessarily demons. They're good. There's good law, there's bad law, right? But in this case, this was a bad law because it was consuming babies and trying to consume me. And there was a Ougan, or at least someone who was very in the voodoo, told my mother, hey, there's a spirit here at this house. You need to leave immediately. Otherwise, you're going to lose this child, right? And so she did. She left immediately, and also went to the doctor. And that's when the doctor expressed, hey, you need to be bedridden because, the child, given your history and then given the child is weak, the child is indeed weak, right? And immediately started to feel better. Immediately when she left, right? I started doing better. I started feeling better, apparently, and I was able to be born, right? And so, that's right there, right at the inception. It doesn't get more Haitian than that. Right? I was in Haiti till 3 years old. At 3, my pops had an opportunity to come stateside. This is back in the 90s when things were just bananas, and fortunately we were able to get visas to move to Haiti. At which point I moved. 2 other brothers came about, and I spent the rest of my time growing up in South Florida, right? In the Haitian communities, my friends were Haitian, and what was interesting too was I grew up in a time just after the conflict between Haitians and Yanks, Haitian and Black Americans, sort of wrapped up. Like literally, the class before me was bad because folks were telling me stories of how they were fighting Yanks, and it would be just Yanks versus Haitians, right? But I never experienced that, it just for whatever reason, it just wasn't at that level, right? Where it was Haitians versus Yanks. I got more fights with other Haitians, almost exclusively, than actually other Yanks, right? Grew up in South Florida. Went to, and then of course wrapped up. Went to Florida State University for my undergraduate and graduate, right, in economics, and I wrapped that up in 3.5 years. So where most folks are still trying to figure out what they're trying to do, right? I had both my bachelor's degree and master's degree in economics in less time it takes someone to get their bachelor's, right? And it's not because I'm smart, right? It's not because I love school. In fact, I hated school very much. And I wanted to be in and out as quickly as possible. I wanted to, get to the real world because I knew school wasn't the real world. It wasn't, right? I wanted to be out because I knew at some point I always had this. And again, I understand, even through college, even throughout my incredible, I was taking 5-6 classes and even auditing courses, just to kind of get ready for, because I was never really that good in math. I had to work 3 times as hard to make the grades I made in math. And I used to appreciate, like, if I knew I had calculus coming next semester, that semester I would just find where the calculus was being taught, and I just sit in the class just to kind of take in those lessons before I really had to do those lessons. I mean, that's the type of person that I was. I mean, my work ethic, if anyone, and the biggest compliment you can give me after how consistent I am is my work ethic, because I really work hard for everything that I do, I've achieved, right? But even with all that work, I was still a part of Haitian groups, like for example, the Haitian Cultural Club in Tallahassee, Florida State. I was a part of that for a good stretch of time that I was over there. And they wanted me to be in leadership positions there, but I knew my workload was too high to be anything more than just a member, right? Maybe I regret that. Maybe I should have stepped up. If I could do it all over again, I probably would have joined a fraternity. No matter how busy I was, I should have joined a fraternity, and I probably should have stepped up for more leadership roles in college. And I recommend anyone who's in college now, to do those two things. Step up in leadership roles in community, in groups, and maybe join a fraternity, because the connections you make in college last a lifetime. There's friends to this day that I had through college that I'm connected with, and those are some of the strongest, best relationships I have. And I could have had more, right? I could have had more if I was a bit more outgoing. But ironically, I was, as much as you guys see me now chatting up and being very comfortable on camera and more or less a people person, I wasn't really a people person then, right? I was very much to myself, very much about getting out, right? And only became a people person really after college. So after college, I needed a break. I mean, literally, I just told you guys I did in 3.5 years. I got my bachelor's and master's. The original game plan actually was for then to also go to law school, right? I took my LSAT, got high enough scores to be accepted to one of the better law schools in Florida, which is FAMU Law. FAMU has a law school in Orlando, one of the best, well-recognized law schools in really the South. And I got accepted, right? I didn't go, right? I couldn't go because at that time I was just so exhausted with school and the intensity that I was in doing school. For me just to sit here and do 3 more years of it, I was shaking. Like I would have went nuts, right? Not to mention I was already, in debt and looking at the bill for law school. I was like, man. So instead, what I did was immediately after graduating, I went to Europe. I have a good friend / cousin, best friend, really. And my cousin, who's French, who's in France, this kid would always come, spend summers with us. He spent a good chunk of my college. He just came, and hung out even for a couple months, even while I was in college. And I was like, man, it's time for me to visit you. The whole time I never visited him. And you know what? Let's do it. And I actually for, how long was it? Almost 2-3 months. I was in France right after I graduated college, and just traveling. We just traveled, all across France. We spent some time in what was that, Belgium, Amsterdam, Brussels. And I mean, we were in the south of France for a while, Lyon, right? I mean, we just had an incredible life-changing experience. Life-changing because that is when I became social, right? It was at that point I realized that life is more than books. It's more than money. It's more than career. It's about people, right? And I really learned it through my cousin. My cousin was someone who was always the life of the party. My cousin was someone who can walk in the room and know no one, but within an hour or two, when he walks out, half of the room that they're his family, right? Their folks are willing to fight for this guy, and being with them for plus months, 2 months in traveling and seeing those interactions, I realized, man, there's something I'm missing in life by not engaging people at the level of which to learn who they are, appreciate who they are, give yourself back to them, right? You're missing out in life, right? And it was really that time that I could say really was life changing, right? And from that point forward, from that trip, I mean, that trip was worth the entirety of my college education easily, right? And I came back, and I can tell you that's when truly my life became happier, right? More fulfilling, more meaningful, right? Because of those relationships that I was able to create, keep, last, and I haven't looked back since. I've been engaged in that, and one reason why we're able to communicate as we do now is because of that time, right? So I returned back from the States after that block of time, and just started my career. I was in banking for a bit as a state regulator for the state of Florida. I traveled the state of Florida auditing banks, right? And it was really cool because this was back in 2009, right? And if you guys, old heads that are watching this, 2009 was what? 2009 was the banking crisis, right? 2009 was the banking crisis, or the end of the banking crisis, right? And it was just, it was the wild, wild west for a period before that where, I suggest you guys watch the Big Short. I think is probably the movie that specializes in really explaining what happened in 2000, the Great Recession in 2008, and what caused that banking nonsense and shenanigans. And so being able to audit those banks just after that, I mean, you can see straightforward, right? You can see, right then and there in the books, like what was going on. It was bad, guys. I mean, we're talking, folks who are banks just giving out loans and not doing any due diligence, right? The values of these loans were bananas. The assets that were securing them didn't even equal a fraction. This is before, by the way, the crash, didn't even equal a fraction of what they were, because there was assumptions that these values were going to go up tremendously. I won't bore you with the other details, but it was bad, right? But it was interesting to have seen that. It's like kind of like being a reporter going to a war zone and just seeing the aftermath firsthand, and so I did that for about a year, but very quickly I realized, especially after coming back from my trip, I didn't have an auditor's personality. I identified more with the people on the other side of the desk, because understanding bankers, especially now, it's really a sales job, for the most part, right? You have to, and in any sales job, it's people. You have to be good with people, right? And so I was connecting more with the bankers than my auditing team. And so I was like, man, I want to get up to the other side of the desk. That'd be more fun and more cool. And so fortunately, there was a program that was happening for U.S. Bank where they were trying to engage more minority young adults, to be part of their management training program. So when I learned about that, I applied, interviewed for, and I was able to attain placement in this management training program with U.S. Bank. And so that time I was in Florida, but that program was in Chicago. So it also gave me an opportunity to move to a big city. I love big cities. I've been a big city boy forever. And Chicago, I knew a lot about Chicago. I ended up loving, to this day, I love Chicago. I consider, after Haiti, Chicago is my second home. And then where I grew up in South Florida, which is Pompano, right? Is my third home, even though I've spent my whole life there, right? So I moved up to Chicago, and the program was a 2-year program where in 2 years you'd be running your own bank branch, right? In a year and a half, I was running my own bank branch, right? And rose up to the ranks and was at that level. And I'll tell you, it was a great experience living in Chicago. In fact, in Chicago, I purchased my first home in Chicago, which was cool. Even back then, I was working on business ideas. There was a coffee shop I just about opened while I was there. It didn't happen, and that's when I engaged and learned about the politics in business, right? Because, long story short, the owner of the building where I was going to do the coffee shop did not believe that a young black man had the capacity, because I wrote this fantastic business plan. And understand, I used to write business plans for fun. I would say it again. I used to write business plans for fun, right? Like I would just, come home after a long day of work and just, okay, today I'm gonna write a business plan for a car wash. Today I'm gonna write a business plan for a real estate property investment firm. Today I'm gonna write a business plan for a restaurant, right? I would just write these, and I'm talking about full financials, the whole nine. I just write these business plans just for fun. And so when this opportunity came, I used to drive by this, so anyone who knows Chicago State University, CSU, which is basically almost an HBCU, unofficial HBCU. There was no coffee shop there. Every other school in Chicago had a coffee shop. Chicago State University did not have a coffee shop. And there was a store, there was a retail location on the strategic corner across the street from, that was empty, across from Chicago State University. And I wanted to do a coffee shop there, right? And I created a business plan, right? And well written, well done. I took the business plan. I knew at the time SBA had, you could apply for business loans. I applied for a business loan. I got $100,000 in funding to get my business going. But when I approached the location, the place where I was supposed to do the business, right, and it was really the only place. There was no other available retail spaces across from the university. The owners of the building, which I must say were black, right, older black couple, did not believe that. And like they asked me straight up, "Who sent me?" And I go, "What? Excuse me, sir?" And they go, "Yeah. Who sent you?" I'm like, "What do you mean? Why do you think somebody sent you?" He goes, because apparently they were beefing with the alderman of that ward, and the alderman really wanted that building for whatever reason, and they believe that the alderman sent me to kind of get underneath, and get a lease. And then I guess the alderman would have really been doing what they really want to be doing in there, which is bananas. Because once you sign a contract with for a business, and you tell them what type of business is going to be there, you can't just change your business, right? That would be a breach of contract, right? And that taught me right there about politics and business, because Chicago is very much, politics and business go hand in hand. The machine that is called Chicago is very much, the politics is very intertwined with all elements of business in the city. And you just kind of have to live in Chicago to understand that. But that kind of did prepare me for Haiti, because Haiti's the same way, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But it didn't happen. In fact, it was about a year after, because there was no callback, no follow-up. About a year later, at this point I was ready, going to leave Chicago, because it was just time for me to leave Chicago. I missed my family who were in South Florida, and I think I was about 5 years living in Chicago. Right, it was just time for me to get back to my immediate family where they were. That's when they called me. They called me back and they're like, "Oh, Chris, by the way, your business idea was really the best business plan and business idea we've seen since ever. Are you still interested in doing business there?" And I was like, "No, because it's been over a year and it's not going to happen, right?" So, I still lament in terms of what that could have meant and where my life would have been if that could have happened. Because I still love Chicago, and still to this day, I don't believe there's a coffee shop across Chicago State University. So those of you, if you're in Chicago watching this, there's still an opportunity to put a coffee shop there. I think that coffee shop's gonna make a lot of money because it's coffee shops on a college campus, basically. Still opportunity to be made. So I left Chicago, right, and actually did go back to France for a little bit of time, for about 3 months. And that was an incredible experience, because it's one thing to be road tripping around Europe for a while, but to be there, and the point for me to be there this time was really to improve my French, because I knew for sure I was going to be in Haiti. Right at this point, I was like, yeah, I'm going to be back to my family, but Haiti's going to be in the future sometime soon. And so I need to improve my French, to a point where I can at least understand what's being said to me, even if I can't speak it. And so I did that. I moved there. I lived on the border of a city called Annemasse, in Geneva, Switzerland, right? Because at that time, my cousin that I mentioned earlier was out there working really in Geneva, Switzerland. And so she would live on the French side, commute into Geneva, Switzerland, and do what they need to do, come back. And quite honestly, actually, not only did I just move there just to move out there, but I actually moved out there to start a business, right? The business is going to be a wireless retail store that would have sold wireless phones, fixed phones, done a lot of different things. I had some savings. I moved my savings to Europe to try to get it done. Now we never did it because the regulations around starting businesses in Switzerland, it's probably worse and more time consuming and as expensive as it is to do it in Haiti, right? Though in Haiti, the reason why it's so expensive and time consuming is because corruption and incompetence, whereas in Switzerland is just regulation that makes it so incredibly difficult to start a business in Switzerland, just because between money laundering and just an incredible amount of money that goes through Switzerland. $10,000 to start a business doesn't mean anything to most people transacting in Switzerland. $10,000 to a young black man coming from America is a lot of money, right? I didn't realize that until we started the process and realized, holy crap, this isn't going to make any sense. Now, this is before other things like rent, other things before payroll costs, and we realized real quickly, yeah, this ain't going to work, right? And so pulled back and didn't execute on that. But still, I spent 3 months out there, had a fantastic experience, and I don't regret it. Don't regret actually living in Europe for a stretch that I did. Towards the end, though, I was pretty. Geneva, Switzerland was very much. It was like 1 or 2 nightclubs. Most people are from other places. Geneva women are very difficult to court. Let's put it like that. And so beyond just the novelty of being, in Switzerland, and some of the cool things you can do there, like hike and eat really good food and go to really cool looking places. Living there just wasn't really fun as a young, 26-year-old, and all the things that 26-year-old would want to do, 26 male would want to do, you really couldn't do. But in any case, so I moved back to America after about 3, 4, 5 months, somewhere around there. Was back in South Florida. It was great. I was back with the family. I realized though that I had to take my personal finances serious, because again, I knew I was going back to Haiti. At this point, it was a known unknown fact. I was going to move back to Haiti, and so I was like, okay, well, whatever I want to do next, wink, wink, whatever I do next, I have to be personally, financially solvent to be able to do it and do it the right way, right? And so for the next 3 to 4 years, no, it wasn't that long. It was 3 years, 2 and a half years, let's say. I focused exclusively on getting my debt down to zero, right? And what debt did I have? I had student loans that were around $55,000, right? And for some dumb reason, I decided to buy a Mercedes-Benz when I came back from Europe, because I was a little depressed in a way, because I couldn't do my business that I really wanted to do in Europe. And so I was like, I'm gonna treat myself to a Mercedes-Benz, and I bought like a C250 Benz, to drive around, and that was real stupid, because that put me like 35 grand in debt on top of the 55 I had. Nonetheless, that made me almost like 90K, right? 90K in debt. And I was like, yeah, I need to, and I didn't have any other nonsense debt like a lot of young folks usually have, right? Like credit card debt and X, Y, and Z and personal loans. I didn't have any of that, right? Even the home that I had in Chicago, I sold. Actually, at the time it was rented out. It was rented out to a family. The income was pretty consistent. I eventually did sell that, and that helped escalate how quickly I was able to pay down my debt. That was like about 2 years down the road, right? But so for the next really year and a half or so, I worked my butt off. Like I was working full time in IT data analytics for Carnival Cruise Lines, actually, right? So I was making good money. I'm not gonna lie, I was making good money. I was making 6 figures, or just shy of 6 figures at the time, and that was during the day. During the evening, I would work as an Uber driver. Like I'd get, from 9 to 5, I'm working in Carnival Cruise Lines, right? And then from like 5:30 to 6, I'd get off work, and then immediately I'm driving around people in my Mercedes. And that by the time, Uber was pretty decently lucrative, especially if you had a luxury car. Because this is before all the people started inundating Uber and they dropped their rates to make it that people who were working for them weren't really making money. And plus they changed the type of car I had, did qualify for luxury, even though later they changed it and they made that type of car not qualify anymore, but at the time it did. So all those things made, I'm not saying I made as much money from my main job as I did in Uber, but certainly it made it worthwhile, right? So I do that Monday through Friday, right? And then on the weekends, or at least the days that I knew, you weren't going to make money with Uber, I would do Instacart. And Instacart, for those who don't know, Instacart is delivery service, grocery store delivery service, right? That you order food on your phone and then somebody comes in to drop it off. I was doing that too, right? I mean, I was a hustler's hustler. On top of that, I was doing event security, right? If there's events that were happening, I had a contact, because back in college, that's how I supported myself. Yeah, I worked my butt off in college, and I worked part-time as well. And so I had contacts in that space, and they when they knew I was back in South Florida, because that's where I started doing security, they invited me back. I was like, I don't want to be regular security, can't really make money, but events could be, lucrative somewhat. And so I'll do event security, right? And so literally I had like 4 or 5 jobs. And around this time too, I met my girlfriend, my wife became my girlfriend. And even back then, right? Like she knew me as someone who had 4 to 5 jobs at a time. That's why I usually identify with like Steve Harvey. They always joke around. He has all the jobs. No, straight up, I had all the jobs, man. Right? And so I was making all this money to pay down my debt, right? And even all this money coming in, I was like, man, I'm never home. Remember, I just told you, like literally, I leave my house at 8 in the morning. I want to come home to like 11 at night. I want to be home, right? And so already I had this situation where I had a 2-bedroom, 2-bath apartment, and I rented out a room. But when I realized that I was never home, I was like, you know what? If I'm never home, why do I have this room? So what I did was, and this is the type of person I am, right? I think outside the box. I'm unafraid to think outside the box. If you guys can see me, okay, it's back. Let me know if you guys see me. If the stream goes black again, let me know. I'm gonna have to change my Wi-Fi box because it might be my internet box that might be causing some issues. So you guys keep me earnest. Let me know if you guys see issues with the connection or if it goes black again. I'll keep an eye on the chat. You guys let me know. Right? I think I'm good now. I'm back. And so I rent out my own room, right? And I would sleep on my own couch. I rent out my own room and I slept on my own couch, and I moved my closet out. I bought a little mobile hanging wire. I put on so my living room became my bedroom, and I rent out my room, and I rent out to a medical student who was, similarly trying to budget and didn't really care about the weirdness in this situation, where the actual person who was sub-renting was living on his sofa. It was weird. But I tell you what, it allowed me basically to be rent-free. And to be rent-free in Miami, anyone who knows that's a big deal. And so with all these jobs and as little overhead that I could have, right? Literally, it took me close to about 2 years, but year and a half to 2 years, I was able to knock out $90,000 in debt and be debt-free. I'm gonna say that again. In a year and a half, doing 5 jobs, sleeping a couple hours, 6 hours, working from 8 to 11 every single day for a year and a half, right? Sundays included, right? I was able to knock out $90,000 in debt, right? And so, this part I share that part in that story usually to make a point, and I'm just sharing my story in general. But usually I would share that particular part of my journey when folks are asking, what's my background in terms of, did I have a pinky up upbringing? Did I have, oh, Chris, you must come from a good family. No, my dad's a taxi driver. My mom's a CNA nurse. CNA nurse is the lowest tier nurse. It's like a nurse aide. That's what it is, actually, certified nurse aide, right? Humble background. My parents did a great job in raising me as much as Haitian parents could. I never suffered or went hungry or my personality didn't necessarily want name brand clothes, but I didn't necessarily have Pepe either, right? So I come from a humble, we had a small little room. I shared my room with my 2 brothers for a long time until finally we got our own room, like right before I graduated high school. But humble upbringing, and I share that part of my journey because that's what it takes, right? That's what it takes to live the life you feel you deserve to live. No one's going to give you the life you want to live, right? You have to make real conscious effort to live the life you deserve, right? And you can only get there by doing what needs to be done first, right? And I knew there's nothing, whatever it is that I was going to ultimately do, it was going to take me sacrificing tremendously to be able to get there, right? And I sacrificed 1.5 years, 5 jobs, 8 to 11, every single day, rain, sleep, or shine, sleeping on my own couch, running out, my 2-bedroom apartment, renting both out, sleeping on my couch, right? That's what it took, right? So once I finally got to that finish line, right, I was like, okay, I'm at the finish line. What's next? And right away, there wasn't a hesitation. I'm like, all right, well, Chris, if what's next is Haiti in business, let's make it happen. I was 29, going on 30 at that point in time. I was like, all right, well, let's make it happen. And I made this video, this announcement video. I wonder if I can, it's on YouTube. I'm going to find it for you guys. It's one of my first videos that I did because I knew, again, everything just came together and coalesced to, it was clear. And I was going to go to Haiti. I was going to start a business. And then also I was going to invite you guys along the journey. I was going to create something media, do YouTube, and bring you guys along in that journey, right? And so I started going back and forth to Haiti, just kind of do research, get myself situated. I didn't just wake up, one blue moon and be like, oh, okay, I'm going to Haiti, right? Victor remembers with the mustache. That's right, had the mustache. I got to bring that mustache back. My wife doesn't want me to bring that back, but she's not the boss of me. But I still haven't been able to shave it. She doesn't want me to. But I want to bring it back at some point. Just know it's coming back at some point. So I started going back and forth, right? And just learning, polling people, polling business owners, letting business owners know that You know, I was looking to come back, but I wasn't too sure what it is that I wanted to do. And you know, slowly and surely, over the course of 6 months, I figured it out. I figured out, okay, here's what I could do. Here's the type of business I was going to open. And I'll tell you about it in a minute. But when it finally happened, I looked over to my girlfriend at the time, who's now my wife, and I said, crazy look in my eyes. That's it. You know, I'm doing it. I'm doing it. Like in the next 2 weeks, I'm selling everything I'm going to sell. I'm going to sell all my stuff. You know, I broke my lease for my apartment, right? And I moved to Haiti, right? But it wasn't just an abrupt thing, by the way. It wasn't abrupt, right? But it was something that I was going to do. I was working up to for about 6 months, but you know, I just reached a point at 6 months. I was like, all right, I'm going to do it, right? And so when I reached that point, I made this video. I'm going to share this with you guys. And those who are real OG with me, seen this already, right? And you guys let me know if you can hear it. And those who are on IG who are watching, let me try to help you guys out. Let me try to see if I can return this. Yeah, there we go. Yo, boy looks presidential. What's with the audio? How come I can't hear myself? What's going on? Why can't I hear myself? Can y'all hear it? Can y'all hear it? Yeah, talk to me. What am I saying? Okay, I hear it. It's really low for some reason. Why is it so low? That's weird. Can y'all hear it? Y'all tell me. Talk to me. Those on Facebook or YouTube. No, it's very low, huh? Yeah, it's very low. It's really weird. Why is it so low? But in any case, what I'm saying here, is, you know, my decision, my choice. I'm coming back, and I was going to share it with you guys. Oh, I didn't have a mustache at the time. That's weird. Huh, okay, that's the influence of my wife there. My wife was having me do the beard, right? And so that's why I have the beard there. But you know, I'm in the suit. I got the Haitian flag in the back, right? And truly, this is one of my earliest videos. I'm not kidding. Take a look. Like literally, you know, the big announcement 5 years ago, right there, right? Made this big announcement, right? And then this part of this announcement was also I started, you know, doing my videos where you can see right here. You know, top 7 Florida. Like, this is my test. I was doing a test to say, okay, let me do a quick video. And I had my girlfriend, who's now my wife, you know, actually be my camera person. And I just went around, and you guys should watch the video. It should have a lot more views than this. Like 391, unacceptable, right? Where I was going around in a lot of cool places, cool restaurants, stuff like that. You know, in South Florida. And that was really the first video. The era of SeeJeanty, honestly, I want to say began really with these 2 videos together, right? This video was a trip to Punta Cana. I did this interview with Haitians in Dominican Republic, which was really cool, and decent views there. And this was just some weird thing I just did. My very first upload was just like biking thing, you know, still there just for the sake of, you know. What's this here? My best day in Haiti. What is that?
Booking a family vacation in a Verbo.
Yeah, there's ads. Skip this ad. Oh, yeah. So this is, remember I told you I was going back and forth for 6 months. For 6 months, right? So this is one trip during that 6-month period where we drove up to the Acari, the northern coast, where a cousin of mine's married someone who has hotels and different things up in that area. Right. I remember now. And so that was a sort of vlog-ish of us on that trip there. Yeah, I remember that now. Yeah. Good stuff. But SeeJeanty really started here, right here. These 2 videos together was the start of SeeJeanty, right? is where it happened. And this was really cool because we went to out in Andeo, and I was shooting birds, and this was probably my first really big video as officially SeeJeanty, right? And of course, every video after that, and we're talking about business registration, we're talking about why you should invest in Haiti, and on and on. My equipment at the time, I was using a Samsung Note 9, right? All these videos, just me proposing to my wife here, right, was right here, right? And so on and on and on, right? And this is OCOP, by the way, for those who are always asking when was the OCOP video, technically this was the OCOP video. This was part 2, going up to Citadel, right? Manu Casavas, when I start saying back at it again, I don't know. Yes, I do. Right here. This right here, this episode, Quarter Latin, for those who want to know, is the first instance of me saying back at it again, right? For sure. And the only reason why I know this is because I made an NFT of me saying back at it again. And I had to research it myself. And this is when first time I said it. It was at the Quarter Latin episode, right? So great question. But yeah, let me go back to the story real quick. Let me go back to the story of before we get into the videos. And so, yeah, so I moved back to Haiti, right? It was time. I moved back, right? And I moved back. In your announcement video, I do share that I moved back because of the business I was going to start was a staffing company. Finally, after my interviews, I realized everyone I spoke to who had business in Haiti, they said they couldn't find competent people. Meanwhile, I'm speaking with a lot of unemployed people who had a lot of skill sets that could have, should have gotten them jobs, but they weren't finding that work, right? And this was across the board during my research. 6+ months of trying to figure out what I was going to do. And so it was clear I'm going to create a staffing company, right? I'm going to help, folks find work and help employers find competent people, right? Didn't have experience in staffing, FYI. I didn't have staff. I just saw the business need. I'm an entrepreneur. I see what the business need is, and then I attack that business need to try to give it to people, right? And so, we started it, launched a website. I rented out a little office space, and I was just going door to door. I mean, literally just to get clients. So Chris, how do you get clients? Like, you're just a Haitian American moving back. How did you get clients? So literally my first employee, right? My first employee, there was a book, the Haitian Businesses book. It's like the Haitian Yellow Pages for businesses, right? We would, for about a month and a half, there's a lot of different businesses in there. We would call and email every single business that was in that book, right? Personalized emails too, not just some random generic stuff. We're talking personalized emails, phone calls, and for some business that didn't have a phone number listed or email listed, if there was an address and the address was in the Port-au-Prince, Petroville, Delma area, I would physically go to that business, knock on a door, and give my card and try to speak with the person responsible, right? Did that for over a month and a half, right? But it paid off. I was able to land major clients in Haiti, right? Some of the bigger businesses in Haiti. I won't mention their names, but some major business, major retail stores. We were their exclusive provider for staffing, right? And literally within 4 months, we were profitable. Within 4 months, we were in the green, bringing more money than the expenses, right? Work ethic, guys. You may be smarter than me, but believe me, one thing you'll never outdo me is work, right? Will never outdo me, right? Never, right? And around that time too, again, I was doing videos, but I realized I had to focus on my business. And that's one thing, I had to make a choice right then and there and decide, who am I? Am I a media personality or am I a business person, right? And I made the choice that I'm going to be a business person as a priority versus media. And literally for about 6 months, ish or so, I didn't do any media. I put aside the media side because at the time it was just me. It was me with the camera going around places talking, and I couldn't do it. Right, I couldn't do both my business and media, so I took a pause on the media. Right, but at the same time too, around this is about a year total now. I realized that the staffing company, how I was doing it, wasn't really how I wanted to do staffing in Haiti. Why? Because, and this is why I didn't mention any of the companies before, right? But there was one too many instances where I would send qualified, competent people to be interviewed, right? And for one reason or another, right, they would send them back. And the critique was, well, they were good, but send us someone else just like that. Meaning they had the credentials. There was nothing wrong with their credentials or their qualifications, right? Send me someone just like that, but let's get a little foreign look. What? Yeah, it goes. Yeah, a little foreign look. Let's be a little foreign looking. You mean foreign looking? Meaning they didn't want someone who looked Haitian. So someone who looked Haitian is black. yeah, that's right, guys. That's what I'm saying. In the first Black Republic, I had relationships with employers that would say openly to me that, yeah, the person you're saying their qualifications are fine. It's just that they're black, and we want someone who's less black looking for the role, right? And so when I sit one-on-one with the HR, the person, and I go, what's going on here, man? What are we doing, right? Why are you sending people back? And I'm hearing that it's because of the way they look, right? Right? And they go, well, here's the thing, Chris. This position particularly, these positions is a pretty high level position, and they're gonna be interacting with people of high value, high net worth, or other business people in this country. And Chris, come on, you've been in here long enough. Who runs the businesses here? Right? What do you mean? Who runs the businesses here? Right? Do they look Haitian? And I go, I don't know how you're defining looking Haitian. And he goes, listen, they're either of Lebanese descent, Syrian descent, are very light-skinned people, right? And these people do not like to get pressure from, right, or feel menaced by someone who doesn't look like them, point blank. And this is not just me, being, there's a lot of people on YouTube and stuff who use race to be divisive and get views and make their whole brand about the conflict between white, black, and mulattoes, and Syrian. Anyone knows me, I consider all Haitians Haitians. Even a Syrian or Lebanese person who, if you're here 3-4 generations and you've been investing, doing stuff in Haiti, providing Haitian jobs, you're Haitian to me, right? So let's be very clear. This is what the HR person is telling me in terms of why they weren't accepting qualified candidates who were black, right? And right then and there, I was like, hold on. I didn't come to Haiti to be part of this. Straight up, like I could have. I don't need to be here, right? I don't need to be here, right? I need to be here if that's what it means to be Haitian, to be doing business in Haiti. So very quickly, I changed the dynamic of before I realized I was in a situation where I was dependent on this, right? This was, the only, I was at a point where I could have started paying myself, right? I was at a point where I could have started paying myself, right? And I realized, like, nah, you know what? Something hasn't changed. I don't feel good about how, I got to feel good about how I'm making my money, all right? And so at that point in time, I made a change. I said, you know what? And I just met someone too. I met someone who um, um, had moved to Haiti and was working remotely, right? And making good money, right? And I was like, wait a minute. And he was in education, by the way. He was in education. And at the time, before I moved to Haiti, I was in IT. Remember, I was like IT consulting. And there's even more jobs, remote jobs at the time for my domain than his domain. And so I was like, okay, wow, I can probably go back to making very good income, right? And then use that income to invest in my business and do my business the way that I feel I should be doing it, right? And and so yeah, that's what I did, right? I literally, those contracts that I had with the companies that had that mindset, I cut it. I stopped working for them, right? That's not what I'm going to come to Haiti and be a part of, right? Colorism, that's not me. That's not, it wasn't going to happen. And my staff company still exists, but it exists more in terms of companies coming in to Haiti, without that nonsense mindset. What matters and what should always matter is, can the person do the work? Can the person do the work, or no matter how they look like? Yes or no, right? And so I started working with companies that coming in looking for work. Fortunately, that line of business didn't pick up because every year there's more and more nonsense happening in Haiti. Every year there's more and more nonsense happening in Haiti, right? So I could have picked up and could have been very lucrative, but it was a handful here and there that I was able to get contracts from. But then I also realized very quickly that I had this massive database of qualified people working, looking for work. All these resumes, and these folks can speak English well, and just incredible backgrounds, very competent people, right? And I realized, I said, "Yo, I should hire these folks." And because remember, at the time I was working remote, right? I started working remote, and then maybe I can find them contracts or opportunities from outside of Haiti, and then maybe like an outsourcing model, give them the facilities here to work if they don't have the facilities, and take a little bit of money off, on the side, for this contract, right? They keep the brunt of the money, right? And we build an outsourcing model where we do inbound calls, maybe customer service, BPO, right? And I'm hiring, and these folks are getting work. And again, and since I'm hiring these people, for sure, the only thing that matters to me is, can they do the work? Period, right? And that's what I did. I opened an outsourcing branch in Haiti Pro Staffing, and to this day, we're still operating both lines of businesses. But outsourcing is particularly lucrative because we have different relationships with different companies doing different types of things, right? And it's working very well for us, right? And that's, I was able to move in that direction because I didn't compromise certain values that I have of myself, right? I knew I came to Haiti to do good. I came to Haiti to impact positively the ecosystem here. I didn't come to Haiti to be part of the nonsense that ultimately is why we're here, right? And just be aware, this is kind of why the Haitian diaspora is a threat to the status quo, and the people who are currently here, fine. As bad as the country is, really the diaspora is a love-hate relationship. Anyone who knows there's a love-hate relationship with the diaspora, because they know, we have a lot of spending power, we have a lot of capacity to do, great stuff in Haiti. But those in the positions of power right now in Haiti view us as a threat, because we won't accept the nonsense they're doing. We won't accept to be a part of the corruption. We won't accept to be part of the bribery, right? We won't accept a lot of the things that they're perfectly okay, pigs and slop, being all dirty. We won't accept it, right? They know this. That's why there is a systematic, I don't hide it, there's a systematic contention versus the powers that be in Haiti right now and the diaspora trying to invest, trying to impact. I won't even lie to you, because of that juxtaposition of how we do business in the rest of the world and how business is being done currently in Haiti. Just a juxtaposition. Two worlds are colliding, and they know only one world can win. Right? Only one world can win. Right? And I can tell you, the world that's going to win is the diaspora world, because their world is backwards and should not win, should not exist in the first place. So just want to let me. I can get more theoretical. Let me not do that. Let me bring it back home to the point of what we're trying to do here, which is my background, right? You can see a lot of my views. I don't just express these views. I live by them. I truly do. I live by these views. And so yeah, and that's really been how I've been living my life up to a nutshell, which is, a lot of folks ask, Chris, how can you, a lot of folks who, as time has gone on and you see how consistent I've been, I think low key, they think I'm some sort of operative or CIA or something, like, or what are you really doing here? Like, what do you do to support yourself? Why do you, like, how are you, who's in your pocket? Like, who am I in the pocket of, right? What are you beholden to? Because typically that's how it works. You have someone who's doing something like this, and so he has to be an operative of the U.S. or an operative of one of the big families, because usually that person, it's it's not a too crazy assumption, because at the end of the day, everyone needs money. And to support yourself and do the sort of things you need to do in any place in the world, you need to get money from somewhere. And typically, follow the money, guys. No matter who you're watching, who you have respect for, follow the money. And by following the money, you'll understand who the person is and who they're beholden of, and who is their real real master, right? And I can tell you, I've always been my own master because I've been able to support myself with real good income doing remote work, right? Even before COVID happened, and now the rest of the world is now remote. I've been doing the remote thing for quite some time, right? And that afforded me the capacity to invest in myself, invest in my businesses, cut my teeth in doing business in Haiti, learn the hard stuff, by myself before taking a dollar of anyone else's money, and really get as far as I've gotten because of that, right? And that really is it. That's been the last at least 4 years in Haiti. It's been me working remotely for different companies from the IT space. It's been me, traveling to different places in Haiti, doing episodes, shooting episodes with my media team, right? To get really close to where we are now. Last year, I was approached. I had staffed a company in Jacmel for their chicken farm, and I recommend you go watch that episode. Dropped it recently, and when I realized what they're trying to do, which is launch different business ventures in Haiti, and they needed additional position staff, and they needed a country director, I volunteered to fill that role, fill that slot. At the time, they were more of a theoretical role, theoretical point where they weren't really sure if they were really executing on these businesses. Remember, I told you at the beginning of this, I used to write business plans for fun, right? And so literally put these ideas on paper, did all the nuance and research to see if these businesses could be profitable, could work. I worked with a team that are already on the ground in Jacmel. It's really smart young Haitians, to put these business plans together, these financials together, these other elements, do the legwork of ensuring there was a market studies. And within about 6 to 8 months, we were able to finalize everything. The investment group, was able to decide on what businesses they wanted to do. They ended up moving forward with a bakery and a chicken farm, and there was supposed to be a third one too, industrial ice block company, ice block manufacturing company. But ultimately, that got pulled back last minute because of expected competition. Though they do want to try to redo that down the road, depending on how that competing firm ends up shaping up, because we weren't sure how much market percentage they're going to take from the market, and depending on the market they were going to take, we weren't sure how much money we could make, and so that's still going to happen potentially, especially since I heard that company never launched apparently. But in any case, so I was out there in Jacmel living, just about full time. I was flying back and forth, but just about full time out in Jacmel all throughout 2021, really. But then towards the end of 2021, because even before I accepted that role, I was starting my own venture, hyper distribution. I was creating the business plan. I was looking for investors. I was doing all the things I was supposed to be doing for that venture. And towards the end of that, I had to make the hard choice between this incredible opportunity with this investment group in Jacmel and what they were doing and being the director there and making good money, right? Versus being really jumping off and starting a hyper distribution and, all the risk that entails of your own business and starting that. And, prayed about it. But even though this is truly what I was doing in Jacmel was a once in a lifetime opportunity, all right? This was a much more lifetime opportunity because with hyper distribution, because I was able to raise 6 figures in investment, right, from other Haitians, right, who entrusted me with their hard-earned funds, right? And I was at a place where, again, I had cut my teeth considerably in business in Haiti. In addition to, I had already written my book, so I mean, I had to write that book. I had to speak with a lot of other entrepreneurs and what they had to do to get their business up going before I wrote the book. So I, feel like in the 4 or 5 years, I had like 2 or 3 MBAs worth of experience doing business in Haiti. I was always a businessman first before media, right? And you only live once. Let's do it. And I move forward with hyper distribution. I'm still on the advisory board for the investment group that's doing really great things in Jacmel. They're looking to open up more businesses and do different things. And maybe there will be a way I interconnect more directly in the future with them. But really, since August of last year, we've been really 100% with hyper distribution. And we haven't looked back. We're fighting aggressively for hyper distribution. We're, again, as I mentioned in the beginning, we're in 40 plus stores. We're generating tens of thousands of dollars a month already. We've crossed over into profitability a few months ago, and now we're looking to keep pushing forward, even though the environment's not easy. Literally container. I'm sure you guys have been watching the logistics challenges post COVID, and our container costs have almost doubled. Not almost doubled. They've doubled. Really recently, like last month. but still, we're finding lines of profitability. And our volume is increasing, which is important because the type of business I'm in, it's a volume-based business. When you're sending stuff by the container load from Haiti to any country, or any country by the container, it's a volume-based business. And I can also say each month our volume has been increasing. The demand's there, by the way. Demand's there for Haitian products, and somehow not enough people are taking advantage of it. Too many folks are focused on bringing stuff in and doing importation into Haiti rather than exportation out of Haiti, right? And so yeah, that's me. That's from, I started this story from when I was born all the way to present day. And I'm sure there's some holes here and there and some gaps here and there, but those are the big spikes, the big highlights, right? And and I've tried to do my best to be earnest in terms of ensuring that you guys have been a part of the journey from when I've been in Haiti, because what I've been able to do in Haiti, it's not an outlier, right? If you approach Haiti the right way, which is number one, you make sure you're okay, right? You're not hurting. You're financially okay. Like you at least be debt free. That's number one. Be debt free, right? Number two, you take your time in terms of moving back to Haiti, and be purposeful with your move, right? I think no matter what it is that you want to do, maybe charity, not-for-profit work, maybe education, be purposeful in that space, right? And you'll find success. You'll find a way to find your niche, find your avenue to live the life you deserve as it relates to Haiti, right? That's really the best tip I can give anyone, right? Those tips there, right? And of course, the story isn't over, right? God willing, God has ultimate control of everything, right? And I only ask God really for one thing: keep me alive. Keep me alive. I'll do the rest of the work, God. And so God keeps giving me life and breath. We're gonna keep doing impact. We're gonna keep trying to influence others to live up to their potential, and show what Haiti can provide, and individually impact from an entrepreneurial business perspective to create jobs and an opportunity and get Haiti to the other side, right? And I'll say this one last thing too, because when it comes to politics, all roads lead to politics in Haiti, meaning all our problems and all the potential fixes that need to happen is politics, right? Parliament, the presidency, that they need to change. And until some people step into the right spots, because Haiti lacks leadership, right? I certainly want to influence those next generation of leaders in the political sphere. And I don't know how that looks like. I don't know what that means. I don't know how that's going to happen, but the final level of everything we're doing here, right? I'm a big believer in Claude Anderson. If you guys know anything, Claude Anderson, check out his books. Black Powernomics is one, and then there's another one too. God, I forget. Just Dr. Claude Anderson. All his books are great. The first level is economics, right? The next level is politics, right? And you can't have politics without economics, right? You just can't, right? And so I want folks to focus on that aspect first, but understand that you got to get to that political level to influence where you need to. And be clear, I'm not saying I'm ever going to run for a particular office in Haiti. What I'm saying is there needs to be an engagement with that political element, so that political element can start doing what's right for the people that it should be doing right for, right? And I'll leave it at that. That's all I can say. I don't know. Just like if you heard the story, just like I always knew there's something that was going to get me back to Haiti. The same feeling exists where there's something that is going to allow at the intersection of politics to happen, and the politics needed to improve and advance us as Haitians in Haiti, right? So, we're gonna keep fighting, and we're gonna keep moving forward, and I'm gonna keep inviting you to the story along the journey to sharing that story, right? So, technically, the next part of this was supposed to me going through my comments and videos, but I think I'm not going to do that. It's already 12 o'clock, been an hour and a half. I promised I was going to try to do an hour and a half show. I didn't think my background story was going to take that long. And so I'll leave us going through the comments for another live show, right? So please keep leaving comments. If those who want their comments to be read or answered, If I don't do a immediate answer on the comment, which I honestly don't really do too often, leave a comment and then make sure to check out the live show. Next live show, we're going to have 2 guests, hopefully. Should be 2 guests, but certainly the guests we should have had this time will be on the next live show. Right. And probably the show after that, we'll do the comments. We'll see how much time we have. We'll see how much time we have next show. But I hope this episode inspired someone. Those who watched the entirety of this episode and heard my story, I hope it inspired somebody, someone who's watching, who's on the fence. And that's ultimately why I do all my content. It's to get that person who's on the fence to execute. I know there's a lot of instances in my life I didn't go in a particular direction because I didn't see anyone who looked like me doing those things, right? For example, I didn't go into IT initially. I went into banking initially because I didn't see anyone, Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, all these IT people or white people, right? I didn't see anybody black doing it, right? And if I had saw someone black, maybe I would have, not maybe, for sure I would have done it because the nugget of idea and capacity would have grown. So, I can do this too, and really impact. So that's really why I do what I do in media, to ensure that whoever's watching can see themselves in Haiti and see their solution be impacted in Haiti, right? And finally for them to execute, right? So I hope my story helped. I certainly hope that our content we're going to keep doing helps with that. And yeah, I think that's it. Let me before I end this live, let me just kind of go through my comments real quick, see if there's any questions I missed that I could answer really quick before signing off. Let's see. Victor asks, offer this service. I think, when I was talking about business plans, nah, not now. What I did recently for the investment group was so intensive. And also for my business, hyper distribution was so intensive. I'm kind of burnt out from doing business plans for quite some time, maybe in the future. But now that I'm, knee deep in doing business, I was writing business plans for fun at the time because I was in a position to be a actual business person, right? But now that I'm an actual business person, with, dozens of employees, finding with the daily stress of hitting payroll and hitting the minimum, finding profitability each month, growing up our customer base, I don't want to write no business plans for no one else. So, let's see, any questions, comments? Frank Singh was interesting. He said it himself. You should Google Frank Singh interview. He talks about his experience. There was a factor of him being a Black Haitian that ultimately led to his downfall. Could he have been more tactical, more? There's a way you play the game, right? And as here's the thing, from a baseline perspective, I truly believe that all Haitians are Haitians, right? I believe it, right? If someone doesn't want to believe it in so much that they attack me for it because they don't believe they believe I'm against them, that's their business. But my baseline is everyone's Haitian, right? How I engage people is from that starting point. And I think there is an importance with starting from the perspective of collaboration versus confrontation. And now, if you want to confront me, that's your business, and I'll defend myself. But my initial engagement point is I want you to win. And so let's set up a win-win, right? Where, I win, the people who I'm trying to help win, and you win, and that's how functioning societies, developed societies function, right? America doesn't go to war with its rich people, right? It tells its rich people, hey, here's what we need you to do. We need you to invest in homes. We need you to invest in job creation, manufacturing, food production, agriculture. And here's how we're going to help you do it. All right, subsidies and grants and tax reduction incentives. So, we're going to directly help you with your costs. We help you, and then also we put hard fences. Right, we say, hey, you can't do this, otherwise there's penalties. Right, we put some hard fences in place to say, hey, you can't just take your money out, and there's some real restrictions legally speaking to say, hey, here's what we don't want you to do here. There's the carrot and the stick, but we put more carrot in front of the person, and we use a very light twig, figuratively speaking, to kind of get them to move in that direction. Right, big believer in that. Right, I think there's too many of our leaders and too many folks in our community who believe no carrot or stick. Right, we need to beat those who empower those in place. Right, beat them out, beat them out the country. Remove all their what their beholdings and stuff. I don't believe in that. I personally believe that everyone's selfish. You just have to make improving our country an equally selfish act, right? Where while they're behaving selfishly, they're at the same time helping the country. And that's really how America is gotten to where it's at. You have a lot of really selfish people behaving in a way that just so happens to also help a country, right? Because quite frankly, I speak to everyone, low, high, right? And those at those high positions are very smart business people, believe it or not. They're very astute. They know their numbers, know financials, know their businesses. But it doesn't make any financial sense to, for example, start a manufacturing business, right? Because there is no advantages, there's no help that's provided. In fact, the government is there to stand to fight you while you're trying to do the most possible type of impactful business. It just makes more sense to just skip all that and just import and do importation and be done with it, right? That's the honest truth, right? You come to Haiti and do business, you see what I mean, right? Listen, I'm a year and a half and I still don't have my SA. I still don't have my SA, man. I'm a year and a half. I still don't have my corporation. It took two weeks in America to get my corporation. I'm a year and a half in and I still don't have my corporation. It's not my lawyer's fault. She's, as far as I can tell, doing everything she can. It's the tax office and the notary that aren't doing what they need to be doing to get me my SA, right? Just to show you, there's a systematic issue involved here, right? Why it's very hard to do real business here, and it's those who are in real business will do what's most easy, right? So just I said all that to say Francine, and even just to a very big extent Jovenel, they know how to play the game, man. It's all confrontation, and there wasn't a way for folks to plug in and make it win-win. If you're a leader, you have to figure out how to make it win-win for people to advance your policies, period. All right. Let's see. No questions there. Let's see if there's any questions on IG. Farah J says, don't you think the culture background, historical background also plays an important part? That's a loaded question. You have to get a little more specific. But yes, history and culture does play an important role in terms of our business practice. So yeah, very loaded question, general question. I can answer very generally too. So yes, anywhere in the world where business is done, culture and history plays a role in terms of how it's executed. I agree. Isa Flo, what's up? Says I need to take private, have questions about how to create a non-for-profit. As I mentioned, Isa, think about becoming a member of the private WhatsApp group. You'll be supporting the channel, the employees that are a part of the media company. You'll instantly join a community of people who are impacting and doing things in Haiti and are as knowledgeable as I am. And also I'll be available, right? But otherwise, I'm just too busy to have private one-on-one conversations. My time doesn't allow me to. I'm running 3-4 businesses and trying to keep the media company. But if you do become a private member, of the WhatsApp group. My time's already. I already make time for that, right? Let's see. Farm logistics. Would you love to work in Haiti? What's the best way to get in touch with you? I think I just talked about it. Become a member of the private WhatsApp group. That's your best way. How's the bakery in Giacomo doing? Yeah, it's doing well. In fact, I dropped an episode. I dropped an episode recently. Just go to the, what's it? Giacomo. What's it? Where is it? What's the name of the episode again? Where is it? Where is it? Yeah, launching 2 major ventures in small town business in Haiti, right there. SeeJeanty and Gallius. Chicken farm and Pimpom, right? So take a look at that video if you haven't seen it. And yes, so they're still going well. They're actually, they're each month they're getting stronger in revenue, getting stronger in their position, their market position. I'm very proud to see that business continue to grow after unplugging. So I want to join the action group and get started the right way. Join that. The action group is different from the WhatsApp group. The action group is a Facebook group that's free. For folks to communicate and share and have conversations. So feel free. It's on Facebook. Just type in SeeJeanty Action Group, and you can be part of that. By the way, for the private WhatsApp group I'm mentioning, SeeJeanty.com, and then go to the contact, and you see the options. The private WhatsApp group. SeeJeanty.com, go to contact. Right. IG, have you seen the New York Times huge research investigation, Haiti's reparations to France? I did. I read that. I remember seeing how it was able to get to specific people who who got money back. And it was interesting about that story was, well, I don't know how much the French government held, right? But a good amount of the money collected actually did go to French citizens, right? A lot of times, the talks about reparations from France, particularly the money that we paid them, usually centered around the French government owes us. But honestly, a lot of that money went to French citizens, right? There's well-off French citizens right now who are well off because they got their grandparents or et cetera got compensated from Haiti's revolution, right? And got money back from losing their slaves, losing their land, their plantation land, right? Very interesting story. I think you guys, New York Times, I don't know how you'll find that, but if you go New York Times, France, Haiti, indemnity, maybe you should find that like that. But yeah, it was a great piece. Thanks for bringing that up. Let's see. And I think that's all the questions I have in IG that I can tell. All right. Okay, yeah, that's all I can see. That's all I can see in IG. All right. So that's a wrap. That's the show. We had a great conversation. I guess now in the future, if anybody wants to know about me, I'll just forward them to this episode, and they can have a full rundown of me. Who I am, what I'm trying to do. All right. Per usual, I just want to drop in the link, SeeJeanty shop, to check out 101 ways to make money in Haiti, lucrative business ideas, insightful success stories, interesting business opportunities for visionary entrepreneurs. Do check that out. Right. It's a book that I wrote. It took a year and a half to write that. We have countless entrepreneurs that we spoke with, and all those anecdotes, all those stories, all those real ideas, and connecting with people actually doing iterations of those ideas. They're in that book, right? SeeJeanty Action Group, do check that out. It's a Facebook group, free to join. It's a great place for you to just network and keep yourself inspired, keep yourself informed with what's happening in the country, opportunities that exist. And that's 100% community driven, community sharing different things, engaging in conversation. So do check that out. The private WhatsApp group, as I mentioned, I'm dropping that here in the channel. You'll see it, SeeJeanty.com/private-WhatsApp-group. That is a place for you to join. It's a community. It's a WhatsApp group, and there's about 30 plus people are in there. To be in there, you contribute, as little as $20 a month, and it allows me to continue to do great content I already time to dedicate it to be in there to speak with folks. So be in there. I've seen a lot of folks who asked me to, hey, I want to talk. SeeJeanty, I want to talk with you. And the best way to do it is through the private WhatsApp group. Your story, as you ask your question, other people will join in answering it and helping you too. So it's not just me helping you. Every 30 plus person in there have certain things they bring into the table, and they'll be able to help you as well. And so talking about a multiplier effect, be part of that group. Be part of that group. You know, you're going to help the media company do what it needs to do, and also you help yourself. Right? And of course, hyperdistribution.com. Hyperdistribution.com. We're changing the ecosystem for Haitian products. We're bringing products out of Haiti to the world. We're starting in South Florida. We're in 40 plus stores. We're bringing stuff by the container load. We're, really performing at a level that I didn't think I would be performing at so soon. And we're looking when you grow. If you're looking to be a wholesaler or purchase our products in bulk, reach out. The website has a contact us form. Reach out with the products you're interested in. We got coffee, honey, castor oil, vanilla essence, almond essence, so many interesting cassava, right? That we're bringing in. So if you're interested in those products, reach out to us. We'll take care of you. Jean, we'll take care of you, right? And of course, investors, if you're interested, we're still looking, right? It's a lot of stuff we're trying to do in terms of increasing our inventory load. Get a truck on the Haiti side. On the U.S. side, I already got a truck on the Haiti side already. On the U.S. side, trying to get a truck. There's a lot of things that your funds could be used to impact and then grow the business. So we are still looking for shareholders. It's a C Corp. We'll get shares for your investment, and we'll keep pushing. And beyond that, that's it. Keep watching. I appreciate you. Those who are subscribed to the channel, those who like the content, those who share the video and all that. It doesn't cost a thing to do. I appreciate it. We'll still keep doing what we're doing. We'll be back next month. Will be very little talking. It's going to be my guests we're going to be on. I already have an idea who those guests are, but can't wait for that. And then again, every month we'll do our usual one-on-one, guys, because I appreciate you. You guys make SeeJeanty what it is. We're a small community, but we're probably the most impactful community in the Haitian internet, because I have folks who visited other programs. I won't name the programs because they may feel some type of way, but I'm talking top programs where the views are like 50K, 100K every episode, and folks come on and the views are nice, but when they come to my show or do an episode on them, they get 3 to 4 times more sales. They get 3 to 4 times more sales than going to that other show that's really popular in Haiti, right? That has more views, but they get more impact here. Why? Because this is the impact zone, right? Right? We're not here for the minutia. We're here for the impact. And everyone who watches, the majority of people who watches, they're serious folks looking to do real work, real things. And that's one thing I love about my community that we have here. They're as serious as I am, hardworking as I am. And this ecosystem that we have, it's a very rare, unique space. And I appreciate it. And I can tell you, time and time again, I've reminded what we have here is so special. When I did the episode on St. Louis du Sud for the canal, and we raised, oh my God, how much? We raised tens of thousands of dollars. I forget how much we raised, but we raised tens of thousands of dollars for the canal, right? I've had instances where, I've made other all calls, for folks to help or assist. And the feedback is always, Chris, this is the most sales or most reaction or most calls or most emails I've ever received doing something on YouTube or, social media, right? Despite the fact we get a fraction of the views. So, when I hear that critique, Chris, man, you should get more views. Nah, bro. Nah. I don't want more views. I want more impact. I prefer the impact that I have now. I don't need the views. Keep the views over there. And I want to call any names I could. I'm so tempted to do some zen right now and call the names that, who I'm talking, the social media places, they get all the views, right? You know them. We're not that. We have a community of impact over here, and that's what I love and that's what I appreciate. Right. All right, guys, that's a wrap. This is our show, 521. Those who watch from the very beginning to the very end, we're here for a full 2 hours. Guess I broke my promise. Try to just keep it to an hour and a half. But those who are there who watched the entire time, you guys are real MVPs. I appreciate you. And we're back at it again. And we're back at it again. Peace.